This meeting is called to order. I will now do roll call. Legislator Hathaway.
Here.
Legislator Berkler. Here. Legislator Burns.
Here.
Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Shortrand.
Here.
Legislator Morahan.
Here.
Legislator Leviker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne.
Here.
Legislator Millenbeck.
Here.
And Legislator Delhup.
Here.
For the first order of business, I ask Justice Merrill to come forward and administer the oath of office for each elected legislator.
Legislator Hathaway, if you would please stand. Place your left hand on the Bible, raising your right hand. Please state after me. I state your name.
I state. I Phil Hathaway.
Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Thank you.
God bless America.
And you too. Please state your full name.
Lisa Berkler.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the State of New York,
and the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Very well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Legislator Burns, left hand on the Bible, please, right hand.
Right hand, okay.
Okay? I, Ronald Burns,
I, Ronald Burns,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Lewis County Legislator
the duties of Lewis County Legislature
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Very well, thank you. Left hand, right hand.
I, Larry Dolhoff,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Very well, thank you. All right. Legislator Charter, if you would place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Please state, I, Richard Charter,
I, Richard Shortrand,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Legislator Moore, left hand on the Bible, please. Right hand. I, Andrew Moore,
I, Andrea Morgan,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Mr. Nelliman, Legislator Nelliman, please state, I, Jeff Nelliman,
I, Jeff Nellenbeck,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Very well, thank you. Mr. Mrs. Osborne, if you would come up right over here, please.
The big basket winner.
And you hold that for your husband, please.
Last time I did this, I spent more time in a Marine Corps.
All right, I, Thomas Osborne,
I, Thomas Osborne,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Levicker, Legislator Levicker, left hand on the Bible, right hand up. I, Josh Levicker,
I, Josh Levicker,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Very well, congratulations, thank you. Okay. Please raise your right hand. I, Ian Gilbert,
I, Ian Gilbert,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lewis County Legislator
of Lewis County Legislator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Very well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, may I get the nominations for a chair of the board for the legislators for 2022?
Nominate Larry Dolhoff.
And we need someone to second it. Okay. Are there any other nominations for the chair of the board? If there are no other nominations, may I get a motion to close the polls and have the deputy clerk of the board cast one unanimous ballot for Larry Dolhoff? Motion moved by Phil. And seconded by, all those in favor say yay.
Aye.
Sorry. Anyone opposed say nay. Motion carried. Would Legislator Burns and Gilbert please escort Chairman Dolhoff to the podium?
Just put your arm around it.
The way around.
You've always been a good escort.
So the total.
Don't you think somebody's gonna take the chocolates?
I want to make sure.
Thanks, guys.
So would everyone please stand for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance? Don't worry. So you're halfway, are you doing the invocation?
Well, I guess I am.
And that's okay. It wasn't, sorry.
That's it. Father, as always, we thank you for the blessings you bestow upon us. We don't often acknowledge them, but we always often appreciate them. We thank you. And I wish you'd put your healing hand on those affected by the COVID and other illnesses. Please reach down and touch them. Give them the help they need. And please put your protective hand on those caring for them. The family, the friends, the caregivers, and especially the medical staff. Let them be able to keep doing what they do best in caring for us. And Lord, would you please guide us in our decisions. Help us do the best we can with great folks of Lewis County. Amen.
Amen. Please flag, please pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you.
Report of the Finance and Rules Committee for Rule 6. Amanda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive the board standing rule number 6 to allow action on all resolutions presented this evening.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by Ron. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. At this point, we need to announce a opening of a public hearing for a Cdbg funding for community development, public infrastructure, housing, and economic development needs under program year 2022, New York State Cdbg funding, and program year 2020 Cdbg-Cb funding applications in the amounts not to exceed $1 million. So is there anyone here that would like to comment on that public hearing? Cassie?
So, as Chairman Dolhoff just stated, this is a public hearing for potential applications for a Cdbg program. Lewis County is looking to solicit public comments on the county's community development needs and to discuss the possible submission of one or more community development block grants applications for the 2022 program year. Potential applications include up to $1 million in Cdbg-Cb farm worker safety housing grant funds for various farms in Lewis County, up to $1 million in Cdbg economic development funds, up to $1 million in Cdbg-Cb funds to purchase several emergency vehicles for our emergency service providers, $324,665,000 in Cdbg-Cb housing funds for the rehabilitation of McNeil Park apartments, and several additional applications relative to housing, community development, and public facilities. The Cdbg program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal and will make approximately $50 million available in the 2022 program year for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities, with the principal purpose of benefiting low, moderate income persons. This public hearing is also responsive to Cdbg-Cb funds from program year 2020, with an allocation of approximately $127 million to New York State. It should also be noted that Snowbelt Housing is interested in managing the Cdbg-Cb grant for the rehabilitation of McNeil Apartments as a subrecipient. It is a 15-unit USDA subsidized property for senior citizens and residents who have disabilities of any age. And I also wanted to make note of a comment that we received from Carthage Savings and Loan Association. Supports the County of Lewis's application to the Office of Community Renewal for the purpose of making environmental improvements in housing for safe shelter to benefit low to moderate income residents of McNeil Park apartments. We see a tremendous need for housing rehabilitation on a comprehensive basis throughout the county due to the age condition of the housing stock and are aware of the limited selection of affordable apartments for Lewis County residents. We are pleased to offer our support for this application and encourage the Office of Community Renewal to fund the County of Lewis's proposed environmental improvements in the housing for safe shelter activity. If your application is successful, we'd be willing to assist you by continuing to market the program to our community members who are in need of safe and affordable housing. Sincerely, Tom Pichet.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments with respect to this Cbvg application? Seeing nothing, we will hold this open for half an hour. Presentations of petitions, communications, and notices. Amanda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators have submitted the newspaper designation of Watertown Daily Times for 2022 through 2023, which has been placed on file with the clerk of the board. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments. Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators received the fourth quarter bed tax reports, the December highway and solid waste audit reports, and an unsafe structure report from Senior Code Officer Ward Daly on the property located at 6837 Higby Road in the town of Gregg. That concludes my report.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to announce the committee chairs and members of the individual committees. We'll start with General Services. Ian Gilbert will be the chair. Richard Chartrand will be the vice chair. Andrea Morahan, Phil Hathaway, and Josh Leviker will make up that committee. Health and Human Services, Lisa Berkler will be chair. Andrea Morahan, vice chair. Jeffrey Nellenbeck, Richard Chartrand, and Ron Burns are the rest of the committee. Finance and Rules will be Tom Osborne, chair. Phil Hathaway, vice chair. Ron Burns, Jeffrey Nellenbeck, Jeff Leviker are the remainders on the committee. And our hospital board rep will continue to be Dick Chartrand. And with that, we'll move on to county manager report, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have been busy the last few days, actually. So first things first, we will have a distribution effort happening this Saturday from 10 to noon at all 15 fire halls across the county. We have received 9,100 quick view home test kits. Okay, to be clear, the state sent us 1,100. We on our own purchased 8,000. So, kudos to our team. I think being ahead of the curve, placing an order early. We originally had hoped these would be useful for test to stay at schools, but the state kind of announced their own test to stay policy, and we've got some, they've got their own test kits through the state as well. So we have 9,100 quick view home test kits. Each test kit contains 2 tests. We'll be distributing those at every fire department throughout the county on Saturday from 10 to noon. We also received from the state of New York 7,500 KN95 masks. They come in bags of 50. This is what they look like. And we'll be distributing these on Saturday as well. I do not expect that we'll go through the full county supply on Saturday. So anybody in any of your districts, any constituency group that would like access to this stuff, I would ask that they wait till after Saturday, right? So we don't have, a mad rush between now and Saturday. But after Saturday, we'll take a look at our inventory, and whatever we have left over, we'll find a way to get out to, if there's a church group or a business or, a daycare, anything that, is looking for some resources, we'll do what we can to support them. So, there's been a mad rush to get your hands on these, and we finally do have a large enough supply to distribute. So that will be happening Saturday. I would encourage you guys, if you want to go out and support the fire departments, to go check out their effort. I will add that we asked the fire departments, and of course they stepped right up, but we also offered a $500 donation to each fire department that would be willing to help us out on Saturday. So 14 fire departments, 3G has 2 locations, that's how you get 15. So 14 fire departments, $500 each is $7,000. We'll take that out of the county manager slush fund. We also have an update on some changes to our quarantine policy that Ashley has been working on. I will allow Ashley, if she doesn't mind, to explain that rather briefly here in a couple seconds. But I think it's worth making this note right up front. We're being flexible, we're responding to the data, we're responding to what the CDC is saying, and the only reason that we're able to do this is because we've kept our quarantine and case investigation operation in-house. So other counties may agree with this policy, they might want to go further in this direction, but their hands are tied because they've given over operations to the state. So it's an extra kudos, I think, to our team that we've kept this operation in-house, which gives us the flexibility to respond to what the data is telling us and respond to what the CDC is saying. So Ashley, can you give us the 30-second version, please?
Yep. So based on data that the CDC has reviewed with the Omicron variant, they have seen that the amount of time that an individual is infectious is shorter. So based on this data, they've shortened the isolation and quarantine period. So going forward, we will be implementing the CDC New Guidance. So for all individuals that require quarantine, which is now anybody who's unvaccinated and anybody who is eligible for a booster and not yet boosted would need to quarantine, and their quarantine would be for 5 days. Now, somebody who tests positive and is in isolation, if they're either asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic, which is the majority of cases that we're seeing now, which is very fortunate, their isolation will also be for 5 days. The caveat with this is the remaining 5 days that an individual would be on either isolation or quarantine, they are required to wear a well-fitted mask whenever they're around other people. The other thing that we are implementing based on a review of where our cases are spreading is we will only be quarantining household contacts from today forward. And it couldn't be at a more perfect time. I will tell you that our cases are spiking rapidly. We doubled last week from the week before. We had 265 cases in the last 7 days, with 140 of them being in the last 2 days. So we are, as of right now, keeping up with all of our case investigations. I'm proud to say that. And the modification with who we're going to quarantine, who is ultimately, the most at risk, will hopefully allow us to keep up over the next couple of weeks, as we can expect this to continue to rise until hopefully we descend as quickly as we're rising. So that's all I have. Did I forget anything?
You've forgotten more than I'll ever know about this thing. Okay, last note on the pandemic. The state has made available $1 million to each county, and despite a lot of the rhetoric around this $1 million, the state and a lot of the counties, particularly counties with county executives that are a little more political than we are, have called this money enforcement money, and the governor has called it enforcement money herself. However, if you actually look at what the state sent us last week, the money does not have to be used for enforcement. It can be used for vaccine and testing clinics. My suggestion, if the board, since this has become a bit of a political issue, my suggestion is that we work with the state, submit a request for funding specifically for vaccine and testing efforts, and Specifically, I would like to support Lewis County Health System with those funds. They've been doing a lot of our vaccination and obviously they've been doing a lot of our testing. So I would like to use those funds to support them. It can be backdated to December 27th, and currently this funding can be used up until February 15th. There's no way we're going to use $1 million between December 27th and February 15th, but if there are some expenses based on the criteria that we can get reimbursement for, I think that's money on the table, and my recommendation would be that we try to utilize it. However, I recognize that because of some of the politics behind it, accepting the money, could get us branded as an enforcer or something like that. I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware and we had a chance to discuss it. So that would conclude my update, but I turn it over to Larry and you guys to update.
Could you get more test kits with that money?
Good question. If we could get our hands on them, it'd be awfully tough right now to get your hands on them, but yeah, we probably could order more, yep. And we might be able to submit reimbursement for the one we just ordered for those. Yeah, we spent $140,000 acquiring these 8,000 test kits. So we'd have to look to see if that, part of that could be reimbursable. Now, mind you, we've got, the state and feds have been pretty generous to local governments. I mean, we've got quite a bit of money coming in already for testing and vaccination, but if there's an opportunity, particularly, I believe, to support the hospital, I think we should do that.
Well, this is something we can reach down and touch the people with.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yep.
So to keep the discussion going, I will make a motion that to apply for these funds, accepting anything in regards to enforcement. And if someone would like to second that. Second by Dick, and how we can have a discussion on it.
So you excluded enforcement, not in what
Correct.
you just said?
Yes. Accepting, and we would apply whatever is applicable that we could, which would enable us to apply for, with the exception of enforcement.
Great, thank you.
There's four categories of funding, two of which are more directly related to policing. We can hire staff to monitor businesses, and there's another category for setting up a complaint portal or something of that nature. Those are not the veins of funding that we'd be interested in. We'd be interested in the vaccine and testing. So.
I mean, this sounds fine, Ryan. I appreciate the effort you put in just to clarify what the funds can be used for.
Thank you.
Brian, can I explain a little bit about Friday? Passing out the masks and stuff to local businesses.
Oh, yeah.
I had two.
There's a motion.
What's that?
There's
We have a motion on the
Oh, I'm
floor.
sorry. Yeah. This kind of filled my head, Chuck. Sorry.
Anyone have any other further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Dick.
Yeah. Friday morning, I had a couple of small businesses in town ask me about masks. They've been buying them out of their own pocket for a long time. We got, I believe, according to Ryan, 37,000 masks in or something like that.
We got 7,500 of the KN95s, but we have a large stockpile still of the
Blue
surgical
ones, yeah. So he set me up with Bob, and I took him to some of the businesses, and I think I met about 35 businesses in Lowell. He's got a list if you wanted to take a look at it, but if you wanted to take some of the businesses in your own area, they really appreciated it. I think it shows
Good idea, thank you.
our intent to mask up and try to beat this thing rather than beat the people.
So I've got boxes in my office before you go. Grab a couple bags.
We'll do that.
Yeah, whoever else is interested.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Dick. And we'll move on to county treasurer report here.
Thank you. I think my first note would be to go back a little bit and comment on Ryan's county manager slush fund.
It has an accounting.
In accounting, we'll call it a line item. He does have that in the budget, so we'll call it a line item, Ryan, thanks. left everyone a sheet of paper with a front and back with a little bit of information based on a couple of questions I've gotten from legislator spreadsheet half a week, just the last few days. I wanted to share a little bit of information, and it's very interesting that with the difficult time that we're going through with COVID, that, as Ryan just said, the money is kind of flowed to assist with that, which is great. And what we're seeing in these reports is also our sales tax and bed tax revenue has been improved. Great news. Let's hope the economy continues to keep moving through this period of time. I won't cover every number on these sheets, obviously, but the sales tax, you can see in the bottom of that page, we're at $14,779,000 at this point in the collection for 2021. We will have one more payment, I believe, next week that relates to 2021, and that payment typically runs in the $500,000 to $600,000 range. So once that's received, we'll be over $15 million, I expect, significantly above our budget, significantly above last year. Probably, I'd say, about $2 million over last year, so just a great improvement there. On the bed tax, that was provided to you in advance with Legislator Hathaway's question. He wanted to clarify some information, so I thought this would be helpful. The $137,000 has been collected for this year. Again, you can see the improvement there, up $50,000 or more over a typical year for us. Definitely part of that has been efforts related to registering the new short-term rental businesses, VRBOs, Airbnb. Thanks to staff in Jones' office, we tracked down about 80 of those types of businesses. We sent them a friendly letter and a registration form, and we've signed up about 35 to 40 new businesses in the last 2 or 3 months, and that's driving some of that increase for sure. So some good improvement in that line also. I just wanted to give you some more information to that, and that's what I would have for you tonight.
Any questions for Eric? If not, we will move on to report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $713,000, $819,056, and recommend that they be audited and allowed for amounts claimed.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by Josh. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This is a little close. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries. So we can do a slate of resolutions and pull whatever is for the Cdbg. We have about 10 minutes.
We have another 10 minutes, yeah.
Or we could take a rebate break now.
Well, we could do some of them.
Okay. So what do we need to pull for voting on individually?
Resolution 1, 14, 15, and then 16 and 17 are both late resolutions. And number 7 is withdrawn.
Okay, motion to pass the slate accepting these noted resolutions. Lisa, second by Dick. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Slate carries. Do we have any other business that we can discuss at this point?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would have a motion. The board members, hopefully you read your emails the last couple of days. I did send notice to the board of another settlement from one of the opioid defendants. The documents will settlement documents will have to be submitted by January 18th. We don't have another board meeting before then. I don't actually have the settlement documents sent to me yet. However, they're going to be very similar to the other two settlement and participation agreements that we had with the other defendants that settled on the opioid case. This involves the defendant Allergen. They have agreed to a settlement of over $200 million. The county will obviously, receive a pretty small portion of that, but it will be along the same lines as the other settlements. So I'm requesting that the board authorize the chairman or our outside counsel to execute that settlement and participation agreement when it comes through, upon my review and approval of those terms after discussing it with our outside counsel.
You want us to trust you?
Yes, I know it's hard.
With the legal matter.
So do you need a motion to?
To authorize you or counsel to execute the settlement agreement.
Moved by Ron, second by Ian. Discussion?
I'd just like to bring up, like I did before, and if most people were in agreement, that we could maybe share some of that money with the schools to try to foresee future problems or forestall future problems, but that's just an aside.
I think that's probably a worthy cause, Phil, but I'm not sure what.
It depends upon the terms of what can be used for, and we are working with the hospital and other groups to make sure that we have education and school education involved in some of that.
I just hope we would consider that because
Yep.
we want to catch it before it starts.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking along the lines of education, we could do something similar to like the DWI awareness program where someone could go to the schools and talk to their
Yeah,
students.
that's a good idea. I was thinking maybe a traveling assembly type thing,
Well,
tell
again,
stories or whatever.
we'll be limited by the parameters of whatever the decision was. Okay, Mr. Kayer, do you have any comments from the
We have to
hospital?
vote on
What's that?
it.
We have to vote, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Mr. Kayer?
Yeah, I have nothing specifically unless any of you have any questions for me. I'll just share we continue to be incredibly busy, and I just received a text. The ED is on diversion tonight. We are busting at the seams, as they say. But if you have any questions, I'll take them.
I don't know if this is a better question for Ashley, Jerry, but do you know what percentage, and maybe if the state's testing it right now, or the Omicron variant?
Yeah, so what I will compliment what Ashley reported earlier. Based on the length of time that we're seeing people are infected, we believe the Omicron has come to our community. So that's what we're seeing now. And the spike is phenomenal, as Ashley reported, this sort of doubling effect in a week's time.
Do you know what percentage it is right now?
No, I don't have that specifically yet.
Thank you.
88% of the cases in New York State that are sequenced are the Omicron.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our hospitalization rate for unvaccinated is still around 85%.
I have not done the data for December yet.
Okay.
I can get that to you all though.
Okay, well, everyone being short-winded, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Mr. Kayer, did you have other comments that you wish to make?
I thought I could give the board an update on where we are with the project, the construction project, the renovation and the construction of the surgical pavilion. Let me just refer to my notes. So you'll recall at a recent meeting I updated you that because of supply chain issues and inflation, the cost of the project went up 24%. And so that's somewhere in the $7 to $9 million range. So like any organization, we had to go back and rethink some of our approaches. There are two key targets with this project. One is to revitalize medical, surgical, and ICU, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about what that meant. And also to modernize the OR suite. We have 2 ORs and built late 70s, early 80s. So we are also, unfortunately, using one of those ORs for colonoscopies, so it's an inappropriate resource for the procedure being done. So in the surgical pavilion, there'll be 3 operating rooms and 1 procedure room. We had also made a commitment to the county that we would modernize the morgue. So go from a capacity of 2 to 5 with the capacity for some bariatric tables. And we were going to put that in the lower level of the surgical pavilion. So what we've ended up doing is, with the exception of where the morgue will be and the finance department, all other parts of that lower level will not be constructed. So we're going to build slab on grade, and that change alone will change what's needed underground and the amount of earth that we have to move for the project. And we've sent it out for pricing, and that change will give us the $7 to $9 million that we need to bring the project into budget. So as a result of that, we have to submit a modified certificate of need. Certificate of need was spent on the initial project. Now we're taking a piece of the project out to meet budget targets, and the CON process has to review it. The good news is it's a much quicker process than when you submit an application from the beginning. So by January 10th, all schedules that have to be modified will be packaged and sent to the Department of Health Certificate of Need unit. On January 17th, the project will go out to bid. On January 26th, we're going to have a construction pre-bid walk through the building. And on February 14th, that's when the bids are due. Depending on the bid amount and what winter is like, I'm hopeful for some sort of ribbon cutting, groundbreaking ceremony in March. If we have a mild winter, I think that's possible. And we're still projecting at this point a February 2023 opening. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to resolutions.
Resolution number 1-2022, auditing and allowing claims.
Someone like to move that? Lisa, have a second? Ian? Any discussion? This is a roll call.
All those in favor, aye?
So you have to go down.
Thank one by one.
Oh, okay, thank you. Burns?
Yes.
Chartrand? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
Leviker,
Yes.
Marhan,
Yes.
Nellenbeck,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Berkler,
Yes.
and Dolhoff.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, I would request that perhaps resolution 14 and 15 be deferred until after we have an executive session to discuss our contracts. So you would move then to the late resolutions if you want to address them now.
Okay, we'll move 14 and 15 to after the executive session along with the late resolutions.
For the late resolutions, you could do now.
Okay, we can do that as well. Okay, so we'll hold 14 and 15 till after executive session and continue with the list.
Resolution number 16-2022, resolution awarding bid and authorizing agreement between the County of Lewis and MJ's Contracting Services Incorporated for lead asbestos abatement work at 7514 South State Street, Lavelle, under the Downtown Stabilization Project.
Moved by Ron, second by Lisa. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Resolution number 17-2022, resolution amending compensation plan with reference to Lewis County General Hospital.
Moved by Lisa, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, but for resolution number 16, could I change my aye vote to an abstention, please, due to a conflict of interest?
Show Ian abstaining on resolution number 16, please.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a note, please, on the two late resolutions?
Sure.
So, our team has a New Year's resolution to reduce late resolutions. It's been a crusade that I've been on as long as I've been here. And I just wanted to explain, why these two, were late. And I would encourage you guys to put pressure on us to reduce late resolutions, because I think it's fair that if you're going to come here and vote for something, you should have it in advance and time to read it. One of the reasons is we didn't have committee meetings this month. The second is we bid out initially the jail project, the stabilization project for the old jail, and we didn't get any bids, so we split the bid in two, and we finally got the bids in, so we wanted to move forward without having to wait through committee. So we're going to do our best in 2022 to not have late resolutions, but I just wanted to explain the two that we had, so thanks.
Okay, public hearing on the Cdbg applications. Is there anyone here that wishes to comment on that application, those applications? Seeing no hands, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion to go into executive session. Lisa, second by Josh. Any discussion?
I just note for the record that it's for personnel matters to discuss contracts of appointed officials.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? We're in executive session.